Hello friends, it's me, and today, shopping! Let's check out why is thrift shopping so expensive nowadays? Style theory. Too much money! From the style theorist. Together, let's go. Let's go.
Thrift stores are becoming a little less thrifty.
You may as well just go to a retail store than visiting your local Goodwill. You're going to be paying the exact same price.
Thrift stores are ripping us off.
Specifically at really big thrift stores like Goodwill, Savers, the prices have just been increasing.
There is a thrifting crisis.
And I'm going to find out who is really responsible. Get that demonetization button ready because things are about to get exposed.
Style theory.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Style Theory, the
Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory.
show that comes at the best price of all, free. Speaking of prices, it feels like nowadays everything is raising its prices. Even places meant to save you money, like the thrift store. Whether you're trying to be more environmentally friendly or you're just looking for that unique piece to complete your look, secondhand shopping has gotten pricey. From items being sold for the same price as their brand new counterparts, to some stores even charging more for secondhand versions, this thrifting price crisis is out of control. And I'm not the only one wondering what's going on. The thrifters have taken notice.
Going thrifting is the exact same as going to the mall now.
They're a lot more expensive now than what they used to be.
Thrift stores are just another example of businesses that take advantage of their customers.
There's even a whole subreddit dedicated to people sharing some of the most ridiculous prices they find at their local spots. Did you know you can buy some gently used rocks for the low price of $2? Talk about hitting rock bottom. But don't you worry, theorists, because I have 3 cards hiding up my sleeve. Each of these represents someone
Suspects for theorizing magic the gathering.
whose actions and greed may have led you to paying the ultimate price. No, not you, Macklemore. Get out of here. While you may have had a hit song in 2012 that made Google Trends peak, you did not cause the peak pricing that we're seeing today. So, which of our actual suspects dealt the final blow? Grab a snack because we are about to expose how the great thrifting price crisis came to be and who is to blame. When we talk about the
Wait, I want to see that card again.
dealt the final blow, grab a snack because we are about to expose how the great thrifting price crisis came to be and who is to blame.
Resellers. Creature, human rogue. Rogue? Spells opponents cost twice as much. You become the monarch. You become the monarch.
When we talk about the wide world of secondhand shopping, we have to talk about the people who put it on the map. The digital map, that is. Yeah, this isn't the world of your grandma's secondhand shopping anymore. You don't gotta walk 15 miles to the store just to buy a used pair of Nikes. Old school sites like eBay paved the way for the rise of digital marketplace apps like Depop and Poshmark, where you'll find used items being sold at prices so high or equal to the brand new version. I mean, depending on the brand and the rarity of the item, you may even be paying more. How appropriate that this is a Pokemon dress, because with this kind of price gouging, I would have thought we were talking about Pokemon cards and not secondhand shopping. And
Pokemon! Gonna get them all!
you can all thank suspect number 1, the reseller. Now, a reseller isn't just someone looking to sell their old clothes to make a little extra money or clean out their closet on ThredUp. We are all for giving items a second life here on Style Theory. No, resellers are using secondhand items to build their own business. It's not about giving you the best price, it's about giving them the most profit. We'll call this the Nasty Gal effect. Nasty Gal, while now known more as a fast fashion type brand, started its life as the passion project of Sophia Amoruso, aka the original #girlboss. No, really, it's the title of her book. When she was 22, Amoruso started selling her thrift finds on eBay with a big vintage price tag. And it worked big time. According to Amoruso, she scaled her business to over $100 million in revenue. She did it by knowing the trends and brands that people were willing to pay the big price tag to get, and by being able to spot those items in the thrift stores that she frequented. This inspired a whole nother generation to think that they too could become rich by reselling items. And it's
a lot of clever marketing strategies.
This behavior that has made them a prime suspect for ruining the thrifting party for everyone else. Now, on the surface, this seems like a solid claim. If stores see that not only are people ready and willing to wipe their shelves clean of their best items, but that there are customers out there who will pay more than what those stores are originally asking for, it tells the thrift store that they can safely raise their price without losing out on sales. Isn't capitalism fun? However, while this situation looks pretty black and white, there is actually a lot more gray area once you start to look a little closer. You see, there is this one big factor here that we need to talk about: the thrift stores themselves. When you ask people to name a thrift store, the one that most people go to, at least here in the US, is Goodwill. It's everywhere, and it's the one we grew up seeing and going to with our parents and grandparents. Goodwill is classified as a non-profit, meaning, in extremely simple terms, that they take item donations and use the money made from those sales to fund their charity efforts. But here's
Okay.
the thing: Goodwill and stores like it don't set all of their prices based on sales, but based on the item itself. Here is the pricing guide for Goodwills in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. As you can see, every kind of item you can imagine is here, from women's blazers to infant coats. They all have a set standard price that employees are meant to follow. However, that's not true of all thrift stores. Stores like Savers, Value Village, and America's Thrift Store are for-profit stores owned by private corporations. Yes, while they may look like another Goodwill or Salvation Army, they are not a charity. Just like our resellers, they're out to make as much money as they can. Gotta look out for that bottom line, am I right? These stores have more freedom to set their prices based on demand. Like, say, a bunch of resellers looking for things to flip on their Depop. The idea that these stores may be raising prices in response to resellers is logical, at least on items that are more likely to be resold at a high markup, like popular brand names. But that's not the case. The price gouging allegations against these stores aren't just aimed at their luxury goods, so that's certainly part of the problem. For example, resellers buying up Gucci belts to resell online isn't making Goodwill charge $60 for a jar of mismatched buttons. There's something else going on here. For those of you—
Gen Z, creature, human. When Gen Z enter the views, artifacts are now trending. Spells that are trending cost 3 times as much. What?
who aren't chronically online, well, one, good for you. Because of that, you may not realize that we are in a thrifting renaissance. Secondhand shopping is at an all-time peak in popularity. From 2021 to 2023 alone, the global secondhand apparel market grew from a minuscule $138 billion to $211 billion, which is huge. The secondhand market is growing 3 times faster on average than the regular apparel market. By 2027, experts estimate that the value will reach $351 billion in value. And who is responsible for this meteoric rise in secondhand shopping? Suspect number 2, Gen Z. I'm sorry.
But you must recognize that 2027 is 3 years later. That's actually very fast. That's actually very soon. Wow.
I am really not trying to pick on Gen Z. It's just that the data doesn't lie. According to research done by ThredUp, 83% of Zoomers have shopped or are open to shopping for secondhand apparel. A third of Gen Z consumers say that they always shop at thrift stores. Still not sold? As of 2022, roughly 40% of a Zoomer's closet is made up of secondhand items. There are 3 main reasons why Gen Z is gravitating towards secondhand shopping. The first is sustainability. Nearly half of all Zoomers say that they refuse to buy from non-sustainable apparel brands and retailers. The second is the fun of hunting for items. Unlike our resellers, Gen Z is searching clothing racks to find that one unique item that speaks to them, that makes them—
Come on, it's fun, the experience is enjoyable, it's memorable, it's joyful, it's entertaining, and all in all, it's fun! Yeah!
stand out. 56% of Gen Z and millennials say they would forgo the latest trends in favor of a one-of-a-kind look. And the final reason Gen Z is interested in secondhand shopping? Cost. 30% of Gen Z consumers say that they shop secondhand for the explicit purpose of being able to afford higher-end brands, because theoretically, they don't want to be overspending when they could be saving. So is this Gen Z demand the reason your local thrift store is charging you an arm, leg, and torso for that used Yale sweater? Well, no. It turns out that while Zoomers may love secondhand shopping, they are not invading your local brick-and-mortar stores. To understand what I mean, we need to clarify a few terms. The term thrift store is used as a catch-all for secondhand retailers, but not every secondhand store is a thrift store. A thrift store acquires most of their inventory via donations, either directly or by working with charitable partners. This is your Goodwill and Salvation Army. On the flip side, you have resale stores, which primarily get their inventory directly from consumers. Sites like Poshmark and Depop fall into this category, as users can sell their used goods directly to the customer. And
Oh, so there's a difference between these two. The more you know.
antique and vintage stores will also usually fall under this label, though some may fall into our final category, the consignment store. Consignment stores will sell your items for you and take a cut of the profit. Two of the most well-known examples of this are ThredUp and The RealReal. When you take a closer look at most of Gen Z's shopping habits, it turns out that they aren't thrifters at all. They are shopping online and shopping from resellers. In fact, if you break down the secondhand market even further, you can see that online resale stores have grown exponentially, while brick-and-mortar thrift stores have only seen moderate growth. While the secondhand market has doubled over the past couple years here in the US, the vast majority of that growth has been in the resale side, not the traditional thrift stores. So, while we can prove that Zoomers are a huge reason the secondhand market has grown so fast in the past 5 years or so, and that their buying habits have contributed to the growth of online resellers, it can't be proven that they're the sole reason that prices have increased, which leads us to our final suspect. When it comes to who benefits most from customers paying more, the answer is always going to be the thrift store itself, aka suspect number.
Thrift stores, artifact lands, add a price gouge counter to thrift stores, spells cost X more to cast where X is the number of price gouge counters on thrift stores. Add 1 for every price gouge counter on thrift stores. Wow, the effort into making it so real.
Number 3. They are the people with all the power. They set the prices. Yes, even stores like Goodwill, who, as we mentioned earlier, have guidelines for how to price items, still find loopholes that let them circumvent those guidelines. Not only do these stores price their items relative to their local economy, meaning that prices in rich areas like Beverly Hills, California, will be higher than a small town in North Carolina, but Goodwill has explicitly said that they price their donations, and I quote, at a fair market value based on the brand and condition of the item. This means that if a Coach handbag comes in, Goodwill can price it competitively as a luxury item despite their guidelines telling them to charge $5.99 for a woman's handbag. And when you remember that to qualify as an actual thrift store, the majority of their inventory must come from donations, aka for free, it can make that competitive pricing feel a little shady. But while we all tend to think of stores like Goodwill and the Salvation Army as places to shop for deals, they actually never promised us cheap prices. It all comes down to the way these charities actually work. Let's say I asked what charitable work you think a company like Goodwill actually does. You'd probably assume it has something to do with providing a place for people to buy affordable clothing. But that actually couldn't be further from the truth. If you look at their mission statement, you'll find no mention of clothes or selling them cheaply. That's because while the front-facing side of the business is about the buying and selling of secondhand goods, that's just a means to an end to fund their charitable work. So does that mean that higher prices mean more money for charity? It's a little more complicated than that. When you donate your items to a nonprofit like Goodwill, they turn around and sell those items for money. That means funneling that money back into their local community to help people find jobs, get special certifications, or finish finish getting high school and college degrees. About 87 cents of every dollar is directly funneled into that charitable work. This is well above the 65% threshold that the Better Business Bureau says should be the bare minimum for a charity. However, that's not to say that there aren't instances of these organizations misusing their funds. A 2014 investigation uncovered some shady things going on at a North Carolina branch of Goodwill. They found that
2014, that is 10 years ago, a decade ago.
$4,000 in scholarships were given to the children of the 4 VPs of this particular Goodwill branch, and that multiple board members had ties to businesses that profited from working with Goodwill. While none of these actions were technically illegal, and all of it was disclosed in its filing with the IRS, it does mean that just because thrift stores are meant to be charitable doesn't mean they're always acting in the best way. Businesses gon' be greedy. But does this mean that we have finally found our culprit? Is corporate greed 100% the
Greed! Oh!
cause of the thrifting
Another card.
price crisis? Unfortunately, things are never that simple. It turns out it's not just one person to blame. All of our suspects are guilty of playing into this pricing problem. Prices operate in a 3-part cycle. We've talked extensively about 2 so far in this episode: popularity and demand. As secondhand shopping has become the it girl of the moment thanks to resellers and shoppers like Gen Z, more and more people are turning to secondhand shopping for the thrill of the thrift, and corporations are there to reap in the benefits. Yet there is one piece missing from this puzzle, one that really solves who caused the thrifting price crisis. All businesses have overhead, employees that they need to pay, rent and utilities to keep their stores running. You get the idea. Even resellers have some type of overhead to keep themselves in business. And as you and your family have likely experienced in the last few years, all of those costs are going up. Electricity has gone up 2.36% a year in the US over the past 25 years, with areas like California even seeing increases of 7.7% a year. Then you have the rent. Commercial rental spaces usually increase a minimum of 5% per square inch of real estate each year. All that to say, everything is getting more expensive, which is all due to a term that's become a bit of a buzzword over the last few years: inflation. Inflation is a measure of how the price of goods and services has increased over a certain amount of time. Following the pandemic in 2020, the world saw record high inflation rates all throughout 2021 and 2022. While we are finally beginning to see a decrease as of June 2024, it means that the rise in thrifting costs has followed the same rise as every other business over the past few years. The reason that this thrifting price crisis seems to be getting more attention than others all comes down to how communities rely on thrift stores to serve people going through financial hardships.
From what I know, inflation in of itself is not bad, but too much of inflation is absolutely bad. From what I know, it's like a small increment of inflation every single year. It's kind of good, right? It's like 1%, 1.5% per year, or is it like 0.5% per year? So accumulatively, over a long period of durations, decades, there will be a significant inflation. But every single year you don't see much. But if there's suddenly spike, global pandemic, pew! Okay, it's very bad all of a sudden. It's bad.
People rely on secondhand shops to keep their families clothed. And as the world at large goes through its own financial crisis, the amount of people who rely on these secondhand stores is also growing. Now, to be clear, this is not a call to action to stop shopping secondhand. If everyone on Earth bought just one secondhand clothing item instead of a new one this year, it would be the equivalent to taking 76 million cars off the road for for a single day, or saving 46 billion days worth of clean drinking water. Instead, this is a call to start shopping more thoughtfully. Overconsumption and fashion waste from clothing is still at an all-time high, and buying secondhand doesn't mean you are not contributing to that problem, especially when you're buying clothes that you don't need. But there is a silver lining that can help if you are looking to live more sustainably and wear unique, one-of-a-kind.
I like it that Amy, the team behind the Style Terrorist, they address the issue and they provide solutions. Thank you. It's very uplifting to have an outro, have an ending that is nice, uplifting, positive. Truly, thank you.
Items. And it is something you can do with the clothes you have in your closet right now. Upcycling and learning to turn your clothes into something new is a movement that's been slowly gaining momentum over the last couple years. This process helps eliminate not just environmental waste, but lowers the demand on the thrift stores themselves, which in turn will force thrift stores to have to suck it up and lower their prices, benefiting everyone, including those that need it the most. But hey, that's just a theory, a style theory. Keep looking sharp. Here's a question. Do you know what your body shape is? Click the box on screen to learn how to find out. And I will see you next Saturday morning.
Well, thank you so much. I want to take a look at the meme just now. Dancing home from the thrift stores to learn how to knit. That's cool. But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Thank you.